Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Code Quest. Today our problem statement is conversion of Roman numerals to an integer. Like we know, Roman numerals are usually represented by 7 symbols like I, V, X, L, C, D and M, and they have their corresponding integer value like I is representing 1, V represents 5, X represents 10 and so on. Now, if I have to write 2, I can write in I form because I represents 1, this represents 1. So, when I add the integer value of these two symbols, I am going to get 2. Very similarly, if I have to write 12, I am taking xii, where x representing 10, this I each represents 1, 1. So, x plus 1, 1, 1, that is nothing but your 12. Similarly, if I have to write 27, I can write xxvii, which is nothing but the combination of xx, which is representing 20, this v representing 5, and this ii represents 2. So 20 plus 5 plus 2 makes it 27. So Roman numerals are usually written from largest to smallest and from left to right. And it is not always that you keep on adding the Roman letters so that you can get the integer value. Sometimes we will need to subtract. For example, if you see, if I have to represent 4, I cannot write I 4 times. Rather, I have to write I followed by V, where I represents 1 and V represents 5. So, here I need to subtract the I value from V value, that is 1 minus 5 minus 1 makes it 4. Very similarly, if I have to write 9, I will write I then x because x represents 10 and I represents 1. So 10 minus 1 makes it 9. So similarly, there are so many instances where the subtraction is used to reach the integer value by a Roman numeral. So like 4 and 9 we have discussed here. Now coming to the next one, let's say we are writing XL, which is actually representing 40. How? Because L represents 50 and X represents 10. So 50 minus 10 makes it 40. Similarly, XC, where C represents 100 and X represents 10. So 100 minus 10 makes it 90. Similarly, if I am writing CD, where D represents your 500 and C represents 100, so 500 minus 100 makes it 400. And when you write CM, so M represents 1000 and C represents your 100, so 1000 minus 100 makes it 900. So sometime we need to go by the subtraction to achieve the corresponding integer value so that I can write a correct format of the numerals. So before we deep dive into the logic how to solve this problem, let us see some sample inputs. So if my input is I, my output should be 3 because I have taken I, each one of them representing 1 each. So 1 plus 1 plus 1, that makes it 3. So here we have used addition. Similarly, when I am writing LVII, which represents 58. Why? Because L represents 50. Your V represents 5 and this represents your 3. So 50 plus 5 plus 3, that is 58. Now if I am going for this MCMXCIV, which represents 1994, because M represents 1000 whereas your CM represents your 900, because we understood that M represents 1000 and C represents 100. 1000 minus 100 makes it 900. XC, where C represents 100 and X represents 10. So 100 minus 10 makes it 90. And of course IV represents 4. When I am going to add all of them, 1000 plus 900 plus 90 plus 4, we are going to get this output, that is your 1994. So while solving this logic or the problem statement, we need to take care that the length of the string that is given, the string is nothing but in the form of this Roman numerals. Okay, the length must be between 1 and 15. And the string that I am going to give, for which I am going to calculate the integer value, they must contain only these set of characters. I, V, X, L, C, D, M, because beyond this I cannot represent them any integer value. So it is guaranteed that the S is a valid Roman if the range is from 1 to 3999. So now let's understand the logic to solve this problem. Consider we have been taken a string, and this string has been given to a function, say Roman to integers, and S is holding this particular string which I have to represent in integer format. So here what we have done to start with, we taken a dictionary where we have tried to take the items which you understand, like this is a key value pair item. So where the key is taken as the Roman letters and the value is considered to be the corresponding integer value. So my Roman letter is my key and the corresponding numeric value is the value associated with that particular key. Okay. Now, what we have done here, we have considered two variables, total and the previous value, which are set to 0 initially. And then we are going to traverse this S, whatever string we have taken of Roman numerals, okay, that is your S. And what this reversed is going to do, it is going to read the characters of this S in the reverse order, and this char is going to take each of the character present in the reverse of this S. I mean to say, in this context, when I'm going to start reading, so this char is going to receive I first, then I, then V, then X, and finally X. That is what I'm trying to read or traverse the string from right to left. So once I read the value of this char, okay, so I'm just trying to find out what is the corresponding value of that particular character. For example, when we started with this I, so Roman values of char means Roman value of I going to fetch me the value 1, which I'm going to store inside this current value. And each time I'm checking whether the current value that I have received, is it less than the previous value. If that is the case, then I have to subtract from the total the current value. If this is false, then I'll be adding the current value to the total. And after this, towards the end, what we are doing, we are trying to update the previous value with the current value. And by the end of this entire loop, we will be receiving a value for the total, and that is what we are going to give it back to this call. So now let's apply the logic on a sample example. Let's say we have taken a Roman numeral, that is XXVII, which is actually representing 27. But let us see, by going through this piece of code, am I able to get the same result or not. So here we have taken up a value that is XXVII. Now later we have called a function that is Roman to integer by passing this string as an argument. So as a result, when the control reaches this function, this S is going to receive this XXVII. Now within the function, the very first line you can observe, we have defined one dictionary which is representing the Roman letter as key and the corresponding value, I mean integer representation as the value, like I associate with 1, V associate with 5, and so on. We have taken two more variables here. One is total, which is set to 0, and your previous value, that is set to 0. Now when we get into this for loop, as we said, we are going to find the reverse of this particular string, that is S. So each of this char is going to begin from the reverse order of the given string. So because my string is this, so I'm going to start from the reverse, that is the first letter is your I. So char is going to carry I to start with. So here I'm calculating what is the associated value of this character I. So we can see here I is associated with 1. As a result, the current value will be receiving the value 1. Now here we have a if else where we are checking whether this current value is less than the previous value. So we know the previous value we set is 0. Presently the current value is 1. So 1 less than 1 is false. As a result, I am going to come down to the else block where I am adding the current value to total. So this current value 1 is added to the total, that is 0. As a result, the total has been updated to 1 now. And later what we are doing, we are just trying to update the previous value with the current value. As the current value is 1 here, so previous value has been set to 1. Going through the second iteration where the second character from the right has been taken, which is again I. So when I find from the dictionary what is the corresponding value of I again get 1. So the current value presently holding 1. Now when I check the current value, that is 1 less than the previous value. What is previous value? 1. So 1 less than 1 is false again. As a result, I am going to add the current value to total. As a result, 1 was earlier we had in total. Now 1 current value is added. As a result, the current value is updated to 2. Now the previous value will be taking the current value. As a result, what happened? The previous value is updated to 1. Coming to the third iteration where the char is going to take up V, and from the dictionary we see V has a corresponding value which is 5. So my current value as of now is 5. Now when I check the current value, that is 5 less than the previous value 1, is again false. Hence we need to update the total by adding the current value. So earlier the current value was holding 2. So to that I am going to add the current value which is 5. As a result, my total is updated to 7. And at the end, previous value is going to take up the current value. So previous value has been assigned the current value, that is what your 5 is. Going through the next iteration where I am going to refer this x. So when I check what is the corresponding value of x in the dictionary, we have 10. You can see here x is holding 10. So now the current value is 10. So now when I'm checking 10 current value less than the previous value, what is the previous value? 5. So 10 less than 5 is false. Hence again I need to add the current value to the total. As a result, 10 is the current value and previously total was holding 7. So 7 plus 10 makes it 17. And previous value will take up the current value which is 10. Now in the last iteration, once again we found the character x, whose Roman value, from the dictionary the value corresponding to that is 10. So this is the current value now. Now when I am going to verify the current value, that is 10 less than previous value, what is the previous value? 10. So 10 less than 10 is false. As a result, we will be adding the current value to the total. So total as of now we have 17, and to that I am adding the current value. So I will be getting 27. So as we are done with reading all the symbols present in the string, so this for loop is going to end. So by the end of this function, we are trying to return value of total, which is nothing but how much? 27. That is what I am going to print. So let's run this program, the same program where I have taken the input is xxvii. So I should be getting the output as 27. So here we can see the final result that we are getting is 27. Thank you.